Hey, and fans! Thank you so much for joining me again for my 23rd live book reading. So if you've been following, you will know that today I am on the chapter called The Feast. So thank you so much for joining me. And just a quick reminder, if it's the first time that you've been watching these videos, my name is Beth Shepherd, and I'm the author of the Ernie Gonzalez series, two books, third on the way, a series about a squidgy, slimy, determined snail who goes in search of his dreams despite massive obstacles that he faces. And this one is about him finding his dreams. This one is a little bit more edgy and slightly different. Sorry, getting tongue-tied. It's called Escape from Paradise. And in this book, you will meet the thug slugs. So, and they will be in my third book, which I am so excited to write at the moment. Anyway, let's crack on with this chapter. But first, I just want to say hi to all you guys who are watching. So I know that you are watching, a few of you, and Jinhan, Rohan, thank you for still watching each week. And I want to say hi to a new friend that I made this week. So an amazing girl called Krista. And I just want to say thank you so much for being such an amazing, determined dreamer. So you've really taught me what it means to be so determined to not give up. So thank you so much. So today's chapter is dedicated to you. Right, so just a very quick squidgy recap of what's happened so far in the story. I'm sure you guys all remember, but just in case you've forgotten or you're watching for the first time, I just want to recap on some of the challenges that poor Ernie and Bruce have overcome. So remember, the beginning of the book found him splat in a soggy, rotten avocado in the kitchen, in a fridge, in someone's kitchen. And he discovered he was being kept as a pet and fattened up. Who remembers, seeing if there's anyone who remembers why he was being fattened up? So hopefully you're all jumping in your seats and going, yay, I know. So he was being fattened up because he was going to be cooked and eaten. So a little bit more about that in this story, which you'll find out. So anyway, and then he's overcome wild dogs, the annoying snail, which not sure he's actually overcome yet. So you might see him again in the rest of the story, because I know you guys love Captain Pablo and I love reading him. So he escaped wild dogs. He has escaped rapids. He has escaped moving rocks. And then he's gone back. He's found his olive garden, then gone back to rescue the snails of Vinuela to stop them from being eaten in the whatever it is they're going to be eaten, giant paella maybe, or something else with garlic. I don't know what snails get eaten with. Anyway, so and then he has gone on the back of a rubbish truck and nearly squashed under a tire. Wondering if you guys can remember any other challenges. Okay, so the most recent one was he became a toy for two kittens and almost became kitten food. And then most recently escaped a stray and aggressive cat who wanted to eat them. And then we have left the last chapter with Ernie's grandfather, Manuel, joining them to Ernie's surprise and delight. And Manuel is so up for an adventure. And Ernie has had a great idea and has tied his yo-yo on the back of Rose. I think it's Rosa, or was it Portia? Maybe you remember, I think it was Rosa's tail. And Estella and Rosa's gone off. And just as they're going off, they notice something black, dark, mass moving down from the village. So I wonder if you can guess what it is. So let's find out in this chapter. Okay, a feast. As soon as Estella reached the compost heap, she just turned up. That's it. She dived amongst the heaps of food in delight. Portia and Rose skipped along behind her and leapt into the huge pile of vegetable scraps. So remember, Bruce and Ernie promised them a amazing place that they could live on, the compost heap, where they would never go hungry again if they helped them. So now they've arrived on the compost heap and the cats love it. Ernie and Bruce slid off their backs and turned to look up the road in anticipation, watching as the snails made their way onto the compost heap. There was such a buzz of excitement as everyone began tucking into the food that lay before them. So can you guess what the mass of this massive moving things that was coming down from the hill, what it was. I think you can guess between the lines. The cats and snails had never had such a feast. When Estella finished eating, she turned to Bruce and Ernie and kissed them on their tiny shells. I am so grateful to you, to both of you, for trusting us and for keeping your word that you would bring us here. How can we ever repay you? Asked Estella, purring with happiness. It was nothing, really. We couldn't have done it without you, replied Ernie. Just promise us that you'll take care of this place, added Bruce. That will be easy. We love it here. This will be our new home, said Estella. Bruce and Ernie watched as the three cats ran off and found somewhere to settle down for the night after their long and eventful day. You did good, Ern, you know, said Bruce. No, we did good, replied Ernie. Bruce just shrugged. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, never mind all that fluffy stuff. We've still got some hard yakka ahead of us. The two snails smiled at each other and turned to face their next challenge. The clouds had appeared and it had stopped raining. And in the moonlight, they could see in front of them more than 1,000 beady eyes, all looking at them expectantly. Eagerly, Ernie scanned the sea of faces. It had been weeks since he'd seen his family, and to his surprise, he was excited at the thought of seeing them again. He had changed since he left home, and especially since he had left the olive garden, on his mission to save the snails of Vinuela. He had grown stronger, and suddenly what they thought of him didn't matter anymore. So that is an awesome place for Ernie to have got to, that he knew that if he was happy with what he was doing in his heart, then it didn't matter what they thought. Okay, because maybe not everyone's always going to agree with our dreams. So it's a good place that you don't let that bother you too much. So Ernie's taught us a great lesson there. He had achieved his dream, and now all he wanted was to share it with them. So just a really cute little picture of Ernie and lots of little beady eyes watching him. Just then, he caught a sight of his papa, who appeared to be doing a demonstration of his daring yo-yo surfing to a group of snails gathered around him. Ernie looked closer, squinting his boggly eyes, and to his delight, he saw that he was with his family. With joy, he slid across the scraps to meet them. His family swept him up with their tentacles and hugged him so tight. They were all so happy to see him. We missed you so much, said his brothers. Your mama hasn't stopped worrying since you left, said his dad. Ernie felt loved and realized that he had been very silly to think that they wouldn't have noticed that he had gone away. It was unbearable to think that we'd lost you. What were you thinking? Said his mama. As she hugged him so tightly he thought he would pop. Ernie, please tell us what all this is about. We want to know why you have called us here, said his dad. Ernie looked at Bruce, who was standing on top of the milk carton at the front of the group, looking slightly unnerved as every single snail was looking at him for an explanation. Wow, so leave the chapter there. So just wondering if you have an idea what might happen next in the story. So Ernie's reunited with their family. However, they don't know what it is why he has brought them there. And remember, they didn't believe in the olive garden all along in Ernie's dream. And they're not at the olive garden yet. So I wonder whether Ernie still has to convince them that he has found something awesome that they would love too. So let's see. Right, so well done for listening. So I have an awesome tip for you today. One that I think is so important in your stories. Well, they're all important, to be honest with you. And then I have an activity similar that links to that author tip. So today, my author tip is that you must emphasize key points in your story, okay? So when I say emphasize, I want you to make them stand out above the other things in your story, okay? So what you need to do is maybe go through and list things in your story. Think about what are the important parts of your story, because not I mean, every part of your story is important, but some points need to stand out more. So especially exciting points, or where families reunited, or there's action, or there's suspense or mystery. Usually it's going to be those things, okay? Characters' emotions, if there's an intense, like in this part of the story where the families are reunited, where there is a bit of danger or action. So you need to make sure that you're not just writing them in the same way, but you're actually making them stand out. Okay, so imagine you don't want your story to be flat like a pancake. You want it to peak up where there's exciting points and then come back down, and then we've got details, descriptions, moving the story forward, and then exciting points or interesting points. Okay, so maybe before you write your story, or even if you could take a story you've already written and go through and list, like, what are the key points, and have you made them stand out enough in your story? Because stories that go up and down have like rhythm to them. Okay, so that means that they're interesting, they're more interesting to read. Okay, so you can make them stand out in lots of ways, and I've been talking about them over these throughout these videos. So action, exciting, adjectives, description, emotions, action words, awesome sentence openers, short sentences create a feeling of impact. Remember I said that, and excitement. So all of those things will add excitement to that part of your story that is important in your story to stand out from the rest. Okay, so my activity for you today is I want you to think about my story so far, and can you list the key points that I have emphasized or I have made stand out? Okay, so I want you to write them all down. Remember I said in the beginning, can you think of some of the challenges that Ernie has been through, and Bruce? Okay, so they would be some of your key points. But don't forget, not just the challenges. A key point could be the emotional stuff where he has an understanding. So give you a clue. When Ernie realized that he had to go back and rescue the snails, that was a key point in the story because the story turned in a different direction. So it was important for me to take time and write it well and think about what I'm writing and make it memorable. So we want our key points to be memorable in our story. So can you go through my story that I have written so far, not far off finishing, maybe 4 or 5 chapters, I can't remember, but so far, what are my key points? And special challenge for you, can you think of a key point that maybe I missed and I have forgot to emphasize, or that you think would be great for me to emphasize? And would you like to rewrite that part yourself, making it stand out more? So great activity for you today. Great tip. And I would love to see your work. Remember, always love to see your work. So stay tuned for chapter 24 on Thursday. But I have been having an idea this morning. I'm thinking I want to do a competition as we're coming towards the end of these chapters, end of this book. So I want to do a story writing competition, and I've been thinking about what awesome prizes I can give you. So I have some ideas. So keep watching because I'm going to announce it next reading or the one after. Give you enough time to write your awesome stories and send them in to me, and then I will pick a winner. But I will be announcing that properly. I'm still chewing over some ideas at the moment, but stay tuned. And don't forget to subscribe to my video because I'm going to be doing some more videos after this one on how to become a determined dreamer like Ernie, which we all need to be determined dreamers in our life, which is a great thing to learn. Loads of exciting stuff in there that you can learn and activities. And don't forget to share your work with me. You can do that via my website, bethshepherd.com, and you'll find resources there to link with some of my videos. Okay, so have a great day and I'll see you on Thursday. Adios, amigos.